Hello everyone. I, Forum Patel from LG School of Law, would like to extend my warm welcome to the every viewer. Friends, welcome to the session of the media laws. Now, before we get started with the different understanding of the different aspects which has been covered under the media law, I would like to pose certain questions to you before that. First of all, have you ever come across the concept or the name of the advertisements? Do you know that what kind of system does our India as a country has? How media law is important in the role of being a democratic country that we are? The system that we have. Friends, let's get started with the basic understanding of the importance of the media law. Friends, we all know that right to freedom of speech and expression has emerged as the sine qua non in a democracy. The Indian Constitution guarantees this right under Article 19(1) subclause A to its citizens. Free exchange of the ideas and debates are essentially very much required for a good governance of the country. This is where the media steps in. Media has a very special role to play as a guardian of the democracy, as it functions as an extra parliamentary opposition to strengthen the roots of the democracy, my friends. It has become very important to involve the whole public at large with their opinions to have a very strong base in our democratic country. However, certain developments has taken place since past many years, and that changes those developments. It has given a special power, or rather a special place of the media laws in today's scenario. Even consequently, the Law Commission of India has variably discussed the different issues which are relevant with the media laws and also have given recommendations on the same in its consultation papers. So friends, in these sessions, we shall be starting with the understanding of the advertisement as a very integral part of the media. So friends, let's get started. In this video, we shall be discussing about the concept of the advertisement, the meaning of the advertisement, of course, then the advertisement and ethics, whether misleading advertisement or false advertisement, they are harming the consumer's rights or not. Then the Advertisement Act, a brief overview about it. The governing body, ASCI, the new media of the internet, evolution of the internet, regulation of the internet, that is IT Act, some of the important provisions only, and Media Convergence Bill, which is yet to be enacted. So friends, let's have a look. When we are starting with the concept of the advertisement, it becomes very important for all of us to understand what do you mean by advertisement. You must have been watching televisions, you must have been listening to radios and other broadcastings. So, you have an idea about what do you mean by advertisement. The word advertisement is derived from the Latin word advert, which means to turn the minds towards. Whenever we have this kind of advertisement that we are looking at, we must or we do make our mind to think in that direction. That means the advertisement has a huge impact on the human mind when it comes to thinking towards certain issues which has been shown to in the advertisements. Advertisement segment is considered to be the most effective methodology to reach out to the different objectives and to the different public also. It also can be called as a technique and a communication method to fulfill the objective which has been laid down in the trade and business in today's scenario. The main objective of advertisement is to help and reach out to general public at large and not to mislead them. So friends, this is the main aspect. When the objective of the advertisement is to reach out to the general public and not to mislead them, then that means that this would give a rise to the next discussion, which is whether these advertisements are misleading in any of the forms. If they are, then what is the impact? Let's have a look. You must be thinking that advertisement is a very new concept, or rather not so old concept, but in ancient times the advertising was not known because the marketing was almost entirely unknown. Now whatever was produced was consumed easily. There was no surpluses. With advancement of the civilization and society needs, extra production was needed, and that made the whole mankind to have this concept of the advertisement. The development of the communication, transportation, postal system, they have changed from time to time, but the nature of the advertisement has also evolved with that change. There are different medias which are playing an important role for the advertisement and the products also. This is the fact that has become a worldwide phenomenon. So now when we are discussing about how misleading advertisements are being there which are covered in today's world, it becomes important for us to understand the meaning of the misleading advertisements. So friends, as you can see on the screen, misleading advertisement refers to any form of the advertisement that is capable of deliberately deceiving the person to whom it is addressed, destroying people's behavior, omitting some important information, and harming the interest of the competitors. Many examples for the misleading advertisements can be given. So this is what you call the definition of the misleading advertisements. In India, my friends, the Consumer Complaints Council, that is CCC, a wing of the Advertising Standard Council of the India, that is one of the authorities that is having a hold on the advertisement segment in India, is receiving more than 1200 complaints against the misleading advertisement since its inceptions. It is more in numbers if you have a look. Now friends, this misleading advertisements may be through different channels, that is, it may be through television, through radio, or through any other electronic media. Let it be newspapers, banners, posters, handbills, wall writing, or any such nature which has the characteristics, quality, or rather geographic origin of the goods, service, commercial activities, which is to mislead the consumer, broadly speaking, of course, is of that nature. So this is what you call the misleading advertisement. When I have stated that we can give many different examples for the misleading advertisement, there are certain cases which has come in the mind. Friends, there are many cases rather, but to come up with the very well known or that we are aware must be stated. For an example, you must have heard about the product of the Special K that has been provided by Kellogg's. Now they have provided that when you are eating this product, you must be losing your weight, or you are following the diet plan. But they did not show that you have to follow the strict diet plan to lose the weight when you are eating that product. This was misleading advertisement, my friends. They are trying to hide certain factual situations while giving the information about their products, or rather to improve the trade of their product. One very recent case that we have come across is about the Maggi. You must have heard about the same thing. The product was confined, or it was having certain hazardous ingredient which is harmful for the human body. They did not put this thing forward, and then the Maggi as a brand, it had to take all the products back from the market. It literally fell off the market on a huge ground, and it had to face many other consequences also. When the traders, in order to convince the consumers that their product is having added advantage, unscrupulously report to an advertising campaign which quite often is either false or misleading in its own nature. The guise under which false or misleading advertisements appear are varied as they are ingenious. But this term misleading advertisement has not been defined under the Monopoly or Restrictive Trade Practices Act 1969 or even under the Consumer Protection Act. The term false means not true, designed to deceive, contrary to the fact, and the term misleading, which is wider than the false, it means capable of leading into error. When we are stating misleading advertisement, that would make the whole term having its own meaning, which is derived that these advertisements are of the nature which would make a consumer believe to the fact which is contrary to the actual situation, or rather which are not true in its own nature, which are deceiving in its own nature. This is what you mean by the misleading advertisements. Then that poses a question in all of our minds, that whether do we have any protection against such nature of the advertisements. Till date, only one case that has come up before the Supreme Court which has decided the constitutional protection to commercial advertisements. Constitution has also given certain protections in indirect way, of course, for the protection of the consumers' rights. The case impugned the constitutionality of the Drug and Magic Remedies Objectionable Advertisement Act 1954 on the ground that unreasonable restrictions have been imposed on the freedom of speech. It was held by the court that an advertisement is no doubt a form of the speech, but its true character is reflected by the object for the promotion of which it is employed. It was assumed that the attributes and the elements of the activity which are guaranteed under Article 19A, which it seeks to aid by bringing it to the notice of the public. Now, when it takes the form of the commercial advertisement, which is element of the trade and commerce in it, it no longer falls within the concept of the freedom of speech, for the object is not to propagation of the idea for social, political or economic welfare, but further runs to the human thoughts and rather to give different effectiveness to the trade and the commerce. That means, my friends, that advertisement is not concerned, or rather freedom of speech and protection cannot be asked when you are advertising, or rather you are doing the misleading advertisements. Reason being, freedom of speech and expression has been provided to every citizen of the country when they are exchanging the ideas, when they are doing certain social, political or economical developmental talks. It becomes important for them to give their opinions. But when it comes to advertisement, my friends, it is not mandatory that they are doing it for that purposes. The main objective is not same, it is varied, and so when the trade and commercial aspects are there in the advertisements, the same protection cannot be granted or cannot be extended. Even the advertisements, they are prohibited by Section 3 of the Act of 21 of 1954, which is related to this commerce of the trade and not to propagate of the ideas. Now, advertising of prohibited drugs or commodities of which the sale is not in the interest of the general public, which cannot be speech within the meaning of the freedom of speech, which falls under the Constitution. It is submitted, of course, that the judgment of this Supreme Court was erroneous to say that information not in the interest of the general public cannot reap the benefits of the guarantee which has been enshrined under Article 19(1)(a) is one thing, but to say that information with a motive to promote the commercial interest cannot qualify for the speech so as to enjoy the constitutional guarantee of the freedom is entirely different, my friends. It has been having its own opinions, and of course it has been discussed a lot by the different opinions. But the importance of the information to the operation of efficient market is by now fairly well accepted. For the proper utilization of the money, rights purchasing decisions, the consumers, everybody, all of us, we have to have the information. Advertising is of course a medium of the information and persuasion which provides much more education day by day and many more facilities in different ways to provide us with the resources which are very necessary for the free enterprise economy. But my friends, let's keep one thing in mind, that this should not be interpreted that the advertisers has a right to be wrong, but there should be no censors to the dissemination of the truthful information which needed by the larger section of the society, which is designated as the consumer. Everybody, all of us, my friends. So merely on that ground, it has the commercial motives. This will naturally need the gleaning of the information which is necessary for subserving the public good form, which is false, deceptive and misleading in its own nature. Friends, it is not the only case that in India it has been taken in this view. In the Supreme Court in the United States, a number of cases had been held where it was stated that commercial advertisements, they do enjoy the protection under the First Amendment. Let me remind you that the First Amendment is talking about the freedoms of speech and expressions in the same manner that our country has. But nonetheless, this protection is by no means absolute in nature. This was made very much clear in a landmark decisions in Virginia State Board of Pharmacy versus Virginia Citizen Consumer Councils. in which even the court was of the opinion that commercial speech can never be regulated in any way, but some forms of the commercial speech regulations are surely permissible. That means the extension of the protection can be granted even to the commercial speech, but they are not absolute in nature. That means they do need to have certain regulations on them. But what about the traders, or rather the producers of the manufacturers, who has that motive to mislead the people, or rather to mislead the consumers on a larger section so as to increase their trade and commerce? That means what if they have mens rea? How would it affect this segment? In India, Section 36A of MRTP Act and Section 2R of Consumer Protection Act, which defines unfair trade practices. That means, my friend, that even mens rea as a negligence, or rather as an important aspect to protect the consumer's right, has been defined and has been given under the different legislations. Though the definition words are like falsely or intentionally and knowingly, which has been used under this act, these words denote nothing but mens rea, of course. Should mens rea be imported in the definition of the unfair trade practices, just as to clarify, or rather negligently come over with the further questions on the law? But the answer to this question should be no, because of certain different reasons. The first and the primary reason for that, it has to be that the mens rea word would restrict the unfair trade practices meaning, which we do not want. The act has to be very openly applicable when it comes to the protection of the rights of the consumers. The efficacy of these two acts, they can never be attained by the reading mens rea in the liability for compensation to the consumers who have suffered different losses due to this false misrepresentation. The compensation is the only tangible remedy which is available under the act to deter the trader. Now, the other remedy is cease and resist, but it applies only to the future conduct. So, with these reasons, it can be stated that mens rea is okay if it is not added as a term under the unfair trade practices. So, friends, this was all about what do you mean by advertisement and how it is reflected or how it is having an impact on a larger section of the society. Then what do you mean by misleading advertisements and the protection of the misleading of the concept of the advertisement in our Indian laws, that is Constitution, Consumer Protection Act, etc., etc. So this was all about till now in this session. Now, how do we have to regulate these things? How do we have to come above or overcome the questions, all the problems that has been arise because of this misleading advertisement, the mens rea, the negligence part? So, for that, we shall be discussing the authority and the different act to govern the advertisement segment in the next session. So, friends, till then, stay tuned and keep learning.